Okay, for this week, pag-uusapan natin kung ano pa yung mga ibang types ng instructional software. Okay, last week na pag-discuss na natin yung first two types ng instructional software natin. Okay, yung una natin, we have the drill functions, and second, we have the tutorial functions. So aside from the two instructional software na yan, ano pa ba yung mga software na pwede nating magamit in terms of teaching? Okay, now we have the simulation teaching functions. A simulation is a computerized model of real or imagined system that is designed to teach how the system works. Unlike tutorial and drill functions in which teaching structures is built in the package, learners using simulation usually must choose the task to do and the order in which them to do. A simulation is a form of experiential learning. It is a strategy that fits well with the principle of student-centered and constructivist learning and teaching. On the next slide, makikita naman natin kung ano yung mga types ng simulation. For number 1, simulation that teach about something. It can be further categorized into physical simulations and iterative simulations. Physical simulations. These simulations allow the users to manipulate things or process represented on the screen. For example, student may see the selections of chemicals with instructions on how to combine them to see the results, or they might see various electrical circuits operate. For number 2, we have the iterative simulations. These simulations speed up or slow down the process that usually happen either so slowly or so quickly that students cannot see the events unfold. For example, software may show the effects of changes in the demographic variables on population growth or the effects of environmental factors on ecosystem. Next, we can also categorize the simulations based on how to do something. Under that, we have the procedural and situational simulations. For procedural simulations, these activities teach the appropriate sequence of steps to perform certain procedures. They include diagnostic programs in which students try to identify the source of medical or mechanical problems, and flight simulators in which students simulate the piloting an airplane or other vehicle. We also have the situational simulations. These programs give the students hypothetical problem situations and ask them to react. Some simulations allow for various successful strategies, such as letting the students play the stock market or operate a business. Okay, tingnan naman natin kung ano ba yung mga examples ng simulation software. For number 1, we have the BioLab Fly by BioLab. It is a simulated breeding of fruit flies. Students learn the genetic concept through repeatable experiments. So it is applicable for science and biology teachers. Okay, for number 2, we have the stock market simulations by National SMS. Okay, it is a simulated stock market. Student teams learn how the stock market works by investing the money and seeing the results of their profits and losses. So ito, pwede naman natin siyang i-apply for mathematics and business class. And lastly, we have the Digital Frog by Digital Frog International. It is a simulated dissection. Students can dissect a virtual frog using digital tools and images. So, ito, pwede rin siyang i-apply for biology class natin. Okay, on the next slide, tingnan naman natin yung mga benefits and limitations ng simulation functions. For the benefits, number 1, it compresses the time or slow down the process. Number 2, students get involved. Number 3, makes experimentation safe. For number 4, makes the impossible possible. Number 5, save money and other resources. Number 6, allow the repetition with variations and allows the observation of complex processes. Simulations are more prevalent in science than other areas, but they are also popular in teaching social science topics. Simulations are currently available in other content areas. Nearly all are now available to be accessed online. Some updated products combine the control, safety, and interactive features of computer simulations with visual impact of pictures of real-life devices and processes. One of the benefits of simulation is student gets involved. Simulation can capture the student's attention by placing them in charge of things and asking, "What would you do?" The result of their choices can be immediate and graphic. Users can also interact with the program instead of just seeing its output. We also have, under the simulation, we also make the experimentation safe whenever learning involves physical danger. Simulations are the strategy of choice. This is true when the students are learning to drive vehicles, handle volatile substances, or react to potential dangerous situations. They can experiment with the strategies in simulated environments that may result to personal injury to themselves and others in real life. Okay, now tingnan naman natin kung ano yung mga limitations ng simulation. Number 1, criticism to visual lab software. Several organizations strongly against replacing hands-on in-class laboratory with virtual ones, saying that simulation should only be used as supplements to regular laboratories. Number 2, accuracy of models. When students see the simplified version of the system in a controlled situation, they may get inaccurate or imprecise perspective on the system's complexity. And lastly, instructional misuse. If the student can master the activities of simulation without actually developing effective problem-solving skills, such applications can actually encourage counterproductive behavior. Next, we have the instructional game teaching functions. So, ito na siguro yung pinaka-popular and pinaka-common na instructional software. Okay, in this type of instructional software, ginagawa natin or kinoconduct natin yung lesson natin in the form of games. Instructional games teaching functions. It is a technology-based games bridge the worlds of gaming, entertainment, and education in an attempt to deliver fun and effective learning. Young et al. 2012 defined digital learning games as those that focus on the acquisition of knowledge and foster the habits of mind that are academically useful. Tobias and Fletcher 2012 note that other than names of instructional games include computer games, video games, serious games, and instructional software. Okay, next, tingnan naman natin kung ano ba yung mga examples ng instructional games natin. Number 1, we have the Crystal K Door by the University of Wisconsin-Madison. A game fosters empathy and ability to pay attention. Students must successfully interact with the aliens. We also have the Lure of the Labyrinth by Tinkport. A game to apply pre-algebra skills. Students use math skills to locate a missing pet in a labyrinth. And we also have the Jeopardy Review Generator by Super Teacher Tools. Game to practice students any content area skills. Teachers generate content review items for Jeopardy game. Next, tingnan naman natin kung ano yung mga benefits ng instructional games. A classroom without the elements of games and fun will be dry, barring the landscape for the students to traverse. Successful use of games has been reported in many content areas. Their appeal seems to be centered around students' desire to compete and play. Some educators and observers feel strongly that video games hold special promises for improving classroom teaching strategies and making learning more engaging and motivational. Recent researches focus on the foster of what Herald 2013 calls non-cognitive skills or ability, such as empathy, attention, and tenacity. Simulations promote the use of critical and evaluative thinking. Because they are ambiguous or open-ended, they encourage students to contemplate the implications of a scenario. The situation feels real, thus leads to more engaging interaction by learners. Next, tingnan naman natin kung ano yung mga limitations ng instructional games. Number 1, learning versus having fun. Number 2, confusion of game rules versus real-life rules. Number 3, inefficient learning. And number 4, classroom barriers. Some schools forbid the use of games because they believe games convince the students that they are escaping from learning, thus drawing the attention away from the intrinsic value and motivation of learning. Inefficient learning. Although students obviously find many computer games exciting and stimulating, it is sometimes difficult to pinpoint their educational value. Teachers must try to balance the motivation that instructional games bring to their learning against the classroom time they take away from non-game strategies. And finally, the last type of instructional software we have the problem-solving teaching functions. Problem-solving teaching functions is a software functions that focus on fostering components, skills, or approaches to general problem-solving capability. According to Mainz 1992, problem-solving is a cognitive processing directed at achieving a goal when the solution is not obvious. One way to think about problem-solving is to analyze one of its important components, such as recognition of a goal, the process, and mental activity. Though most problem-solving literature focus on skills on mathematical problem-solving, research on problem-solving covers a wide variety of desired component behavior. Next, tignan naman natin yung mga examples ng problem-solving software or applications. Number 1, we have the Brain It On by Orbital 9 Games. We also have the Logical Reasoning by Nintra. And the third one, we have the 100 Doors Challenge by Poultry Apps. And lastly, we have the Math Doors by Mind Your Logic. We have different approaches for problem solving. We have the content area problem solving, and we also have the content-free problem solving skills. Some problem-solving software focus on teaching content area skills primarily in mathematics and science. For example, Seo and Brian 2012 report using a program called Math Explorer to help students learn a systematic approach in solving mathematics word problems. These complex multifaceted packages offer a variety of tools that allow students to create solutions to science-related problems presented by a scenario. We also have the content-free problem-solving skills. Some educator feels that general problem-solving ability can be taught directly by specific instruction and practice in its component strategies and sub-skills, such as recalling facts, breaking the problem into sequence of steps, or predicting outcomes. Others suggest placing the students in the problem-solving environments with some guidance and coaching, letting them to develop their own method for attacking and solving problems. Now we have the possible benefits of problem-solving software. Number 1, promotes visualization in mathematics problem solving. Research results in mathematical problem solving skills tend to support the hypothesis that software such as Geometry Sketchpad and other software that rely on graphical displays help students visualize abstract concepts, thus better understanding on how to solve the problems that call for those concepts. It also improves interest and motivation. Students are more likely to practice solving problems in activities they find interesting and motivating. Some educators also feel that students will become more active and spontaneous problem solvers if they experience success in their initial problem-solving efforts. For its limitation, when students play a game that requires skills related to problem solving, they do not necessarily learn these skills. They may enjoy the game thoroughly and even successful at it, without learning any of the intended learning skills. Teachers may have to use problem-solving software themselves to confirm that it achieves its objectives. Before we end our discussions, let's have a quick review or recap ng mga pinag-aralan natin for this week. Okay, regarding the types of instructional softwares. Okay, number 1, we have the drill functions or software. Number 2, we have the tutorial software. Number 3, we have the simulation software or functions. Number 4, okay, we have the instructional games, and lastly, we have the problem-solving software. So those are the types of instructional software. So that will be the end of our presentations. If you have any questions or concern, you can directly message me, or you can post to our Google Classroom, or mag-post or mag-message kayo dun sa may group chat natin. So that will be all for this day or for this week. Thank you and God bless.